Hello everyone. Today we are going to be analyzing three different types of words: homophones, homographs, and homonyms. Now you would have noticed that all three of these word types begin with the prefix homo, which has Greek origin and it means same. So this means that all of these word types have something in common individually, right? And we're going to see each word type. We're going to analyze each word type and see what specifically they have in common, right? So these are words that are very confusing in English, especially for English learners, and they can also be problematic for native speakers of English, right? And you'll see the many ways in which that is possible, right? Now, let's begin with homophones. So as you see, homo means same and phone, which is also Greek, means sound. So right then and there we know that homophones are words that have the same sound, right? So homophones refer to words that have the same sound or pronunciation but different spellings and meanings. Okay, so homophones are words that sound the same but have different spellings and meanings, right? So why would these be problematic? So if you have words that have the same pronunciation, how do you know which spelling would apply, right? So here's a useful tip. A useful tip would be to learn the different spellings and their meanings. For example, there are 3 different spellings of this particular sound, and this is bear, right? And if you don't know what these brackets are, these symbols and brackets represent, they are visual representation of sound. So these are based on the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet, and these are used to visually represent sound, right? So this is what linguists would use to provide a visual representation of sound, all right? So if you look in a dictionary and you see these brackets, right, and the symbols, those represent how the word is pronounced, right, based on the IPA chart, okay? So bear. There are 3 potential spellings: B-E-A-R, B-W-E-R, and B-A-R-E. So obviously they all have the same sound, right? So how do we know which one to use? Well, of course, the context would have to dictate that, right? But the tip I give is to learn the different spellings and meanings, okay? So we know bear is how it is pronounced, how they are pronounced, right? So we first need to look at the potential spellings. So we have B-E-A-R. What does B-E-A-R mean? Well, B-E-A-R can have 2 meanings, really. It can refer to the animal or it can refer to the verb of enduring, right? Or also 3, actually. Or it could also mean to like produce, right? So it could have 3 potential meanings. It could refer to the animal, it could refer to enduring something, or it could also refer to producing, right? B-E-E-R, this would refer to the alcoholic beverage, right? And B-A-R-E would refer to something that's uncovered, right? Right, so those are the 3 spellings of bear. So once you learn the spelling and the associated meaning, it will be clear. And let's say you come across that in dictation or or you're writing, you would know well which spelling would apply. So obviously homophones will be problematic when it comes to writing because obviously they have the same sound. So the problem with homophones is that they can pose problems when it comes to writing, right? So that's a tip. If you have a word and if you have a word that can, okay, how do I explain this? Okay, so if you have like how we have bear here, this sound. If you have a sound that can have a pronunciation that can have multiple spellings, be sure to learn each individual spelling and the associated meaning, right? So that would be a great tip when it comes to homophones, right? So that would be an example. Those would be examples of homophones, right? So let me use each of those in an example. So let's start with bear. I saw a bear yesterday. Obviously, bear would have to be the animal because it's a noun, right? So bear, bear. Well, again, that's not true because that could also be BWER. So if I add on, I saw a bear on National Geographic or something like that. The context would make it a little clearer that we're referring to the animal, right? But if I just say I saw a bear, I could also be referring to BWER. Now, if I want to use this, I could say I drank a beer yesterday. Now, that's the only beer that you can drink. So clearly you're referring to BWER. And BARE, I could say that the room was bare. And that's the only beer that you can be referring to because bare, that meaning relates to being like unfurnished, right? So that means that the room was basically empty. It had nothing within it, right? So the context is going to dictate which spelling applies, right? So let's see some more examples of homophones. So we have stationary, and obviously both of those words are pronounced that way, right? Stationary. So stationary has two spellings. You have one with the E, so we have to buy stationery for our school. And stationery with the E refers to the the utensils used for writing, pencil cases, etc., etc. He remained stationary with the A when he heard the news. So stationary with the A would mean like still, right? He did not move, right? C, as you see here, C can have two spellings. Can you see the board? C, in this case, referring to the sense of sight, see. And the fishermen are at sea, SEA, and that refers to the ocean. Now, the only way you're going to know which spelling applies is by the context, right? So that's why homophones are problematic. They're going to be problematic when it comes to writing, right? Sometimes parts of speech can help because the different spellings may have different parts of speech, but that's not something that can be universally applied. Like for example here, C, there are two spellings. CSWE would be a verb. So if you have a sentence in which a verb is needed, then it would be SWE, because that's a verb. And SEA is a noun, right? So if the sentence necessitates a noun, then you will use SEA. But like I said, you can't universally apply that because here, BEAR, that could be a verb or a noun. But let's say we're speaking about it as a noun. The second beer can also be a noun as well. So that's why I told you it can't be applied across the board because BEAR is a noun and BWER is a noun. So when I say I saw a bear yesterday, I could actually be referring to either one of these. But obviously once I provide more information, then it would be more obvious which one I mean. So when I said I saw a bear on National Geographic, what have you, then you would know that I'm referring to BEAR, the animal, right? Which is most likely the case when you're talking about National Geographic, right? So you can't always think that parts of speech is going, that the different parts of speech will make the difference. Not always, right? But the most important thing is going to be the context, right? So be sure to learn the different spellings and meanings, right, that a particular pronunciation can have, right? All right, so this would be so this is homophones, right? Now we are going to proceed to a quiz. We move on to the first of two quizzes. So the next quiz is actually going to be dictation. So you're going to have to write what you hear. And there are going to be, of course, a few words that can have different spellings. But let's go to the first quiz. So choose the correct option based on the context. So 1, I do not know whether I am going or not. So which spelling would apply? Weather. Because this weather is talking about the atmospheric conditions. That refers to the atmospheric conditions. Well, this would be used as a conjunction, right? So weather. So if you come across that pronunciation again, you would know which spelling applies, right? So 2, the assignment must be completed by tomorrow. Which one? Which spelling? By. We want the preposition by. BUY means to purchase. BYE is a shortened form of goodbye. And BY would be, BY can have multiple uses, but one of the uses is to mention deadlines, right? So BY, we want BY. 3, Creole Linguistics is a course offered by the UBK Phil campus. I actually did that course, pretty difficult. So you're welcome, I gave you a warning. Course, which course are we looking at? Right, COURSE. We want this course because the other course refers to a surface being rough, right? This is an adjective. And this will be a noun. But COURSE would refer to a program of study, right? And this will refer to like the texture of something. Like for example, coarse hair, meaning rough, right? So COURSE is what we're looking for. 4, please write the essay. Which spelling? Right. The other right refers to the direction, or it could refer to, you know, like human rights. So we want write, WRITE, as in form words with a pencil or pen or writing utensil, write. Right? Please write the essay. And 5, they're going to Spain next week. Which one? There. Now, there will be talking about either a place, or there could be talking about existence. So saying there is or there are, whatever, right? THEIR, there, refers to, that's a possessive adjective that you use before nouns to indicate possession. So their beliefs, their cars, etc., etc. And there, THEY''RE, refers to the abbreviation of they are. So we want they are going to Spain next week. So there is just a contraction, and it's an abbreviation for they are. So that is what we want here. They are going to Spain next week. All right. So I hope you answered everything correctly. Now we're going to proceed to quiz 2. Okay, so we move on to the second quiz. And as previously mentioned, this quiz is going to be dictation. So you will have to transcribe the short passage narrated by Mr. Hurdle, and that's me, of course, right? So please listen attentively, right? And I'm going to read it sentence by sentence, right? So it's just one paragraph, right? So you don't need to write them as individual sentences. You can just write it as one paragraph, right? So let's go. Today is a great day because it is the last day of the week. Full stop. Mark will be taking a break from work because it is only fair given his contribution to the company. Full stop. His colleagues know that rest is good for the soul. Full stop. All right, so I'm going to read it, the whole passage, one more time, and you can review what you've written and see if you have everything that was said, right? Today is a great day because it is the last day of the week. Full stop. Mark will be taking a break from work because it is only fair given his contribution to the company. Full stop. His colleagues know that rest is good for the soul. Full stop. All right, so let's write it. And you will notice that there were a few words that could have different spellings, and we'll see if you were able to spell them correctly, right? So let's write. So today is a great day because it is the last day of the week. Okay, so week, you know, that could also be spelled W-E-A-K, but that would not apply in this context because weak means that someone is feeble or they're not strong. That's an adjective, and we're talking about the week. The week as in days of the week. So we want W-E-K, right? So that was the first word that could have tripped you up, right? So let's continue. So this is word number 2. B-R-E-A-K. You could have spelled that B-R-A-K-E, but B-R-A-K-E refers to the brake in vehicles, which is what is used to stop the vehicle, right? So B-R-E-A-K, we are referring to a rest, and this could also be used as a verb to mean to damage something, right? But we are using it as a noun, right? Now, this is the third word that could have tripped you up, because this pronunciation fair could have three spellings. It could have this one, meaning it is only right, right? It could have FARE, which refers to like the fee you would pay for something, like bus fare, for example, or FAEAR, fear, meaning like you are afraid of something, fear, right? So this is the fear we want, FAIR, meaning something is just right. Okay. Mm-hmm. His colleagues. So next word, no. No, this one should have been easy, but the only other alternative would have been no as in NO, which is a negative. So yeah, you should know this one. So this is the last word that could have been problematic. SOUL, soul, because that could also be spelled SOLE, meaning the sole of a shoe, or the sole mean as an adjective meaning only, right? But SOUL would refer to like the spirit, mind, body, and soul, etc. So the soul is like the spirit, right? So one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those 5 words could have been problematic because there are alternate spellings, right? But of course, like I said, the context is what is going to make the difference, right? All right, so once again, I hope that you were able to transcribe this passage correctly. Now we are going to proceed to homographs. Okay, so we move on to homographs. And these types of words are going to be problematic when it comes to speaking, because homographs are going to be words that have the same writing, or they're written the same way, right? So homo meaning same, of course, and graph meaning writing. So homographs refer to words that have the same spelling but different pronunciations and meanings. Okay, so these are words that are spelled the same but they differ in pronunciation and meaning, right? So a useful tip would be to memorize the pronunciations used in different contexts, right? For example, the word read, right, can have 2 different pronunciations depending on the context. So read can be pronounced this way, read, right, which is going to be the present tense, right, present tense, or the infinitive, so to read, right? That is, so in those 2 contexts, read is going to be pronounced like that. However, read can be pronounced as red, right, just like the color red, right? But it is spelled the same. There's no change in the spelling. This is what makes it a homograph. There is no change in the spelling. So read, and read. So this is the past tense or the past participle. For example, I have read the article, right? So this pronunciation applies to either the past tense or the past participle, right? So this would be an example of a homograph. So you have to learn the different pronunciations of a word and the context in which that pronunciation is used. So that's how you would navigate homographs, right? So let's look at some more examples. We have record, right? So record, or let's just say we have this word. So this word could be pronounced in two ways, right? We have record, which means a document or account, and this is used as a noun. So it is like a documentation of something, a record. This is how it's pronounced, a record, right? However, it can also be pronounced as record if we are using it as a verb to actually document it. This document is referring to the noun, right? But this here, record, is using it as a verb, right? So record, you can't say, I have to record this. No, I have to record this. So this pronunciation is going to be used when we are talking about, when we're using it as a verb to actually physically document. That is what we would, this is the pronunciation we would use, record. So you notice the only difference would be the first sound. And the first one is re, the first syllable, the first one is re, and the second one is, the first one is re, and the second one is re. So the only difference would be the initial syllable, right? But the meaning can change based on those pronunciations, okay? And we have this word here. And I say this word because, of course, it can have more than one pronunciation. So this word, it could be pronounced live, which means in real time. So, for example, the show was televised live, something like that. And that in that case, that would be an adverb. And we have live. It could also be live, pronounced as live. And live would mean to reside or to be housed or to remain alive. Live, right? And live in this case would be a verb. I should also mention that this live could also be an adjective, the live broadcast, right? So this could be used as an adverb or an adjective, and live would be a verb. So the different parts, so you would realize that sometimes the pronunciation can vary depending on the part of speech, right? So that's something you would notice from these examples. But always remember, learn the different pronunciations and their context. This is how you would navigate homographs. And remember that the words are spelt the same, but they have different pronunciations depending on the context. Okay? All right, so these are homographs, and we are going to proceed to homonyms. So we have reached the end. The final word type, and that final word type, of course, will be homonyms, right? And as you see, homo, same, name, name. So that means that these are words that have the same spelling and pronunciation, but differ in meaning, right? So homonyms refer to words that have the same spelling and pronunciation, but different meanings, right? So of course the question I'm sure you guys are begging to ask is, wouldn't that mean that they're the same word? Not exactly, right? In order to understand what is being referred to, the context must be clear. For example, the word bat can have two references, the instrument and the creature, right? The sentence would have to make it clear. Okay, so bat. Bat could refer to the instrument used in certain sports like cricket or baseball, or it could refer to the creature, right? So how do we know which one is being referred to, right? The context, the sentence, the situation. That's the only way we're going to know, right? So for example, I saw a bat. Now, if that sentence were to end there, we would not know which bat is being referenced. That would still be ambiguous, right? Because both bat, the flying creature, and the instrument are nouns, right? So if I say I saw a bat, that does not help me because I could be referring to either one. Now if I say I saw a bat flying around in my yard, now it's clear that we're talking about the creature because the other bat, the instrument, cannot fly, right? So when it comes to homonyms, the context would have to make it clear, right? Because these words are spelled the same, they sound the same, but they're different, but they're different in meaning, right? Now, as I was alluding to earlier about these words not being the same. So let's look at bat, for example. If you were to look in the dictionary, you would realize that bat be referring to the creature and bat referring to the instrument are actually separate entries. You may see like bat 1, bat 2, right? So those are recognized as separate words, right? Those are different words. Even though they have the same spelling and pronunciation, they're actually different words. The meanings have nothing to do with each other. So they're actually separated, right? So this is what we call homonyms, right? So bat 1 and bat 2. So more examples, bank. So bank could either refer to the financial institution or it could refer to the edge of a river. And the only way we would know which one is being referenced or which one is being referred to is the context. The sentence would have to make it clear, right? Just like how I said here, I saw a bat flying around in my yard. So it's clear and obvious that we are talking about the creature, right? Now bark, this is another example. Bark could refer to the noise made by dogs or it could refer to the hard outer covering of a tree. And the only way we're going to know which one is being referred to is the context, right? So when it comes to homonyms, the context has to make it clear because because homonyms are going to be words that have the same spelling and pronunciation but different meanings, right? So you could say that this is the easiest of the three because it's only a matter of knowing. Because once a person, if you and a person are having a conversation, and you're going to know which one they're referring to. You're going to know. Eventually, you're going to know, right? Which one they're referring to because the context would make it clear. So I would say of the 3 word types, this is probably the easiest, right? So yes, this is homonyms. Now let's do a quick recap. So homophones are going to be words that have the same sound but different spellings and meanings. Check. Homographs are going to be words that have the same spelling but different pronunciations and meanings. Check. And homonyms are going to be words that have the same spelling and pronunciation but different meanings. Check. Alright, so I hope that I would have clarified any confusion when it comes to these 3 word types. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.